So I worked out a relationship with them. I was like 10. I was doing this for like months, man. Like so giving these motherfuckers like hundreds of dollars of crab cakes. Welcome to the 2-Minute Podcast. Today we have Brandon Hardesty from the Bumpin Uglies, a band with some of the most real lyricism you'll ever hear. These songs really tell stories. I love what you create. Welcome on the show. Thanks for having me. You've achieved so much with the band. A lot of artists have complimented you on your work ethic. Where do you think that drive for you comes from? A lot of it was like how I grew up. Like my dad, he was an entrepreneur. He ran restaurants and stuff. So like from a very early age, I had like the crazy like small business work ethic drilled into me. And I've always just had like a good head for the business side of it. And I know how hard it is to, for starters, to like do anything with a small business, but much less make a career in music. I also got started late in the game. And I knew I was never going to be like the most talented person out there, but I was pretty sure I could outwork most people, so I kind of just decided to go that route. In those early days when you were starting off, how did you keep the motivation? Because I know it didn't happen overnight. I drank a lot. Honestly, like it was hard, dude. Like it was really, really hard, and it's just a matter of like a lot of it just comes from self-confidence, like that I didn't have for a while. You know, I had to just keep telling myself that what I was doing was good, and that eventually, like if I stuck with it, there was an audience for it. Something I realized as I got older is like not measuring my success or worth off of like other people's, but like on my own. So I would look at like what I was doing 6 months ago or a year ago and kind of use that as a metric to see how I was doing, and you know, like we were always improving. You know, they say the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time, so I just tried to focus on the single bite in front of me. You know? That self-worth, tying it to the music, because I hit different milestones with what I'm doing, and I always think that next milestone is going to finally make me feel like, oh, well, I am that guy that I think like I am that, but it always like, it just shifts forward. Have you experienced that too? Yeah, I'm very much still there, and I don't know the answer to that. It's like, I think about that all the time, because it's like part of that, you see that in like great competitors, the greats really, like that they have that quality in them, but they're also miserable bastards too. So it's like, it's a love-hate kind of thing. Someone once told me it's just a matter of like setting a final goal, and like if you accomplish that, that needs to be enough. But I don't know, man, it's definitely like it's a constant work in progress. Yeah, I guess it's a double-edged sword, because if you're never satisfied, that's what makes it great, to keep improving and keep going after. But if you're never satisfied, you're never satisfied. Yeah, I think mindfulness is important, and just like perspective and philosophy, you know? And it's something you gotta really come up on your own terms, but just being aware of it is important, and then just kind of like organizing your own goals and priorities, and trying not to focus on, because it's like there's constantly gonna be external factors that are like trying to take your attention and trying to, you know, fuck you up, you know, like it's kind of the nature of the world we live in and the market we live in, and it's just a matter of staying focused and not getting distracted by that kind of shit. But it's hard. I'm not great at it. Well, I know there's a lot of people that are happy that you stuck with it. You got one of the greatest fan bases, Uglies Nation, and they're so active online, and I know you are super active in Facebook groups and online. Talk to me about that. You know, I realized like as both a fan and as someone that was trying to get into this, it made me feel bad when people wouldn't like talk to me or like give me the time of day. And I think a lot of it has to do with because like musicians are naturally like introverted people. So I kind of just always made it a priority to like just talk with people, even if you're just giving them 30 seconds. You know, treat people like people. It seems like a really basic thing to say, but it's somehow gets lost. I do this for a living, but you know, it doesn't make me special. You know, someone fucking is a plumber for a living, and we both contribute in our equal ways. Like no one's better than each other, you know? So you spoke on introvertedness as an artist. How has that come through with performing? Were you always naturally good on stage? No, I was the opposite. I was very, very uncomfortable getting on stage. I was very insecure. I used to get blasted drunk to do it, and I did that for a long time, until eventually, through repetition, so I'm more comfortable being on stage now than doing anything else. But it's all just like putting one block on the next, you know? What's the most valuable lesson you've learned while on tour? You gotta be flexible. No plan is like set, you know what I mean? Like honestly, like touring for 10 years prepared me very much for COVID, because I've just been very used to like having curveballs thrown my way. I can't imagine how it must have been for a touring artist to go through COVID. Never again. Never again. Let's not do another whole pandemic. No more pandemics. Do you remember what the first song you ever wrote was about? Oh yeah, it was a love song for a girl in high school, and I played it at our talent show. Classic. It was awful. It was so bad, yeah. It was so cringy and corny. Is there a video of it somewhere out there? No, thank God. I would love to have it and throw it on the episode. Bro, I'd have to shut it down. What is the most unexpected thing that's happened to you during a live performance?
There was a show recently where people started throwing joints at the stage, unlit joints. So eventually I was like, all right, like, let's get this over with, guys. Like, we appreciate the free weed, but like, let's do this all now so that the rest of the show is done. And like dozens of joints at this point were just like, there's like locusts just coming at the stage. It was fucking crazy. That was pretty cool though.
You got a line in one of your songs, one of my favorites. Living safe is just dying slower. Have you always been a risk taker?
Oh yeah. Before I was in a band, I thought I was gonna be a professional poker player. That's always been my shit. All right, so there's one story I can think of when I was a kid. Like I said, my dad owned a seafood restaurant, and I was real into like magic cards and Pokemon cards when I was a kid. There was a card shop that's set up in downtown Annapolis where the restaurant was, and like I got real close with the staff over there, so I worked out a relationship with them where I was trading them crab cakes for packs of cards and shit. So I was doing this, like I was like 10. I was doing this for like months, man, like so giving these motherfuckers like hundreds of dollars of crab cakes for fucking magic cards and shit.
Parents not find out?
Eventually, yeah, and I got in trouble.
Where are these crab cakes going? How do you have so many Pokemon cards?
Yeah.
What is your relationship with inspiration versus sitting down and almost forcing creativity to happen?
When I'm on the road, I can't write anymore. I just can't because it's just too busy. I can't get in that headspace. But then when we have like a nice chunk of time off at home, I'll write. Like I'll make that my job. For me, it's just, sitting down, looking at the idea and then like being, all right, I'm writing a song today and then just seeing where it goes.
So you're very disciplined about it.
You have to be, I think, at a certain age. You know what I mean? Dude, I got a mortgage and kids and like responsibilities and shit. Like I don't have the luxury of just being a whimsical artist that lays around and fucking sleeps till 2 and then writes when the muse hits me. Like I don't know. Like I understand like the romance and all that, and it's cool that that's how some people live their life. And also it makes me happier too when I'm productive.
Yeah,
like, I don't like letting a day go by without like accomplishing something. It's never been easier to be a creative and like get your shit out there, but at the same time it's never been easier to be a creative and get your shit out there. So it's so oversaturated. So it's like the ones who are gonna have a career with it are gonna be the ones who are disciplined and work hard at it.
I love that. You got your own music festival, Weekend at Wolfie's. Tell me what's for you the coolest part about that.
It's like we're just throwing a huge party for our friends and our fans, being able to just like set the vibe, which for me is like, it's essentially like summer camp. It's or like a family reunion. It's like very, very low key, like we get to curate the music ourselves. So it's just bands that we tour with that rip. The majesty of it, for lack of a better word, because it's a big thing. It's like a big endeavor, and just being able to be like, holy shit, like we did this. Like this is something that we did, and it's cool, and it's making all these people happy, It's definitely one of my favorite weekends of the year.
Tell me about the process of writing Two Stone with Article Sound System.
I had that idea during COVID because I was just writing like a motherfucker during COVID, and I knew what I wanted it to sound like. I knew I wanted it to be this pretty, like, tender acoustic song. I kind of got into the idea of it being like a stoner love song, and we had just done a week of touring with Article Sound System. So I met Logan, and we like immediately, I hit it off with them like right away, and I just, I loved her voice. I love her just outlook on music in general, and just, like she has a very like pragmatic, refreshing outlook on this whole thing, So I had the idea, and I hit her up. I was like, yo, like, you want to get in on this? And I had all my part done, like my verse and the bridge and the music and stuff, and she had her open spot. Like I asked her to hit the harmonies and stuff, and it was pretty easy. It was effortless, and I'm looking forward to doing more songs with her down the road. In fact, I wrote another one over the winter, so I'm hoping that happens. She seemed into it.
Stoner love song. That's such a perfect way to put it. I love that song. That's pretty much it. What is on the horizon for Bumpin' Uglies? What do you want to tell the people?
We got an acoustic record coming out this summer. It's just me. I recorded it live in studio over the course of 3 sessions. I'm really proud of it. Then we got, more studio stuff coming probably later in the year, early 2024. And just touring indefinitely.
Touring indefinitely. Nice. Hey, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Make sure everybody out there, you follow the 2 Minute Podcast.